Recently, a statement made in Japan has drawn significant attention in both Japan and China. During a parliamentary session, Prime Minister Takaichi stated that a Taiwan contingency could potentially be recognized as a situation threatening Japan's survival. This remark triggered strong backlash from the Chinese government. However, much of the controversy stems from misunderstandings. To properly assess this issue, it is essential to examine Japan's legal framework, the context of parliamentary debate, and relevant principles of international law. In this video, we will clearly explain what a situation threatening Japan's survival actually means, the true context of Prime Minister Takaichi's statement, why Japan's position is legally and diplomatically consistent, and what may lie behind China's unusually strong reaction. What is a situation threatening Japan's survival? A situation threatening Japan's survival is a legal concept defined under Japan's 2015 peace and security legislation. Japan's constitution strictly limits the use of force. Only under exceptionally narrow circumstances may Japan exercise force, including the limited exercise of collective self-defense. This is governed by three strict legal conditions, commonly referred to as the three requirements. The three legal requirements: 1. An armed attack against a country with which Japan has a close relationship, such as the United States, poses a clear danger to Japan's survival. 2. There are no other appropriate means to protect Japan and its citizens. 3. The use of force is limited to the minimum necessary level. These requirements are not a license for Japan to use force freely. They are deliberately restrictive and apply only when Japan and its people face a grave and unavoidable threat. The context of Prime Minister Takaichi's statement. Prime Minister Takaichi's remarks have often been taken out of context. In reality, her statement was made during a parliamentary debate on legal frameworks, with explicit assumptions such as U.S. military involvement, a maritime blockade around Taiwan, and actual armed hostilities. From the outset, she clearly stated the government would make a comprehensive judgment based on all available information and the specific circumstances of the situation. In other words, Prime Minister Takaichi never claimed that a Taiwan contingency would automatically constitute a situation threatening Japan's survival. Instead, she emphasized that legal judgment must be made case by case, and that only in the worst case scenario could such a designation potentially be considered. This was a cautious, law-based explanation, not a declaration of intent. Comparison with the three requirements. When compared carefully with the three legal requirements, Prime Minister Takaichi's explanation is fully consistent. Why a Taiwan contingency could affect Japan's survival. Yonaguni Island, Japan's westernmost territory, lies only 111 kilometers from Taiwan. The surrounding airspace and sea lanes are directly linked to Japan's vital shipping routes. The Senkaku Islands are Japan's inherent territory, despite China unilaterally claiming them as part of Taiwan. China claims Taiwan as its own population while not ruling out the use of military force, which is widely regarded as a violation of international law. Taken together, it is broadly understood internationally that instability around Taiwan would directly impact Japan's territory and population. This view is shared by countries such as the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia. Accordingly, Prime Minister Takaichi's statement aligns fully with Japan's existing legal framework and its long-standing diplomatic posture. It was not an escalation, but a lawful explanation of existing policy. China's unusual reaction and a timeline-based analysis. China's response to this issue was unusual in several respects. The Chinese side criticized the Japanese prime minister by name. It advanced claims such as preparations for invasion, which were disconnected from the legal and institutional context of the original Diet statement. At the same time, statements and exchanges related to the controversial remarks became difficult to confirm in official records. What is particularly important here is the chronology of events. Confirmed sequence of events 1. Prime Minister Takaichi made a statement in the National Diet based on existing legal and security frameworks, explaining in general terms that a Taiwan contingency could potentially constitute a situation threatening Japan's survival. 2. Before a unified and formal response was issued by the Chinese government, Wei Jun, the Chinese consul general in Osaka, quoted a Japanese online news article and posted an extremely aggressive message on social media containing language that could be interpreted as implying violence or assassination. 3. This post triggered strong backlash not only within Japan but also internationally, drawing widespread global attention. 4. Subsequently, China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs criticized Japan's position in regular press briefings, and in doing so, effectively refrained from clearly condemning or disavowing Xue Jian's post. 5. Meanwhile, Xue Jin's original social media post was later deleted, and remarks or questions concerning his post, reported by international media as having been addressed during press briefings, cannot be found in the currently published records on the official website of China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. 6. Despite this, China's criticism of Japan and its hardline rhetoric have continued, interpreting the nature of China's response. Taken together, China's handling of this matter can be characterized as follows. While officially maintaining a posture of defense, the authorities appear in practice to be attempting to treat the incident as if it never occurred, an approach that can itself be interpreted as evidence that they are aware of the problematic nature of the conduct. Chinese diplomatic authorities are well aware that violent or threatening language used by a diplomat is fundamentally incompatible with international norms. However, once the incident attracted global attention, openly retracting or condemning the remarks would have risked appearing weak or internally inconsistent, leaving them with little room to maneuver. As a result, China appears to have adopted a contradictory approach, publicly maintaining a strong and confrontational stance toward Japan, while quietly avoiding preserving the most problematic elements in official records and documentation. This reflects a simultaneous process of defense and damage control. Concluding assessment. In light of the above, it is reasonable to suggest that, had Zhuojin's post not been made, China's response may not have escalated to such an extent or attracted the same level of international scrutiny. This case highlights not only China's stance toward Japan, but also a broader pattern in which diplomatic missteps are managed through selective omission rather than transparent acknowledgement, revealing underlying tensions in the mechanisms of diplomatic control. Additionally, Mr. Zhuojin has previously been a figure repeatedly criticized for problematic conduct, including posts suspected of interfering in Japan's domestic politics, intimidating remarks directed at the United States, posts equating Israel with Nazi Germany. Conclusion: Japan and the international community remain consistent. The key point is this: Japan and the international community understand and respect the One China policy, but they do not recognize Taiwan as part of the People's Republic of China, nor do they recognize it as a justification for the use of force. The issue at stake is not sovereignty claims, but unilateral changes to the status quo through military action. As long as China does not resort to armed force, Japan has no legal basis whatsoever to use military force. Claims of Japanese aggression are therefore best understood as propaganda driven attempts to shift the narrative rather than legitimate legal arguments. Japan's message remains simple and consistent. If military force is used to change the status quo, regional security, including Japan's, will be threatened. This position is not provocative, it is legally grounded, internationally shared, and entirely legitimate.